Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I know I did a reading for Pisces, but and then wouldn't you know, I cleaned out the trash on my phone and I had just recorded it like yesterday and I deleted everything, and so I'm going to do it again. But I guess it'll be interesting to see. Not like I can exactly remember. But we're going to see what's going on in Pisces energy right now and how different people might be making decisions in their life and action that they're taking in their Pisces energy. We all do tap into Pisces energy. This might be something more that affects people that they're dealing with. If they're a Pisces sun sign, moon, rising, or got significant Pisces placements in their chart, but we all tap into Pisces energy. So it can affect all of us, and Pisces is emotional water sign energy. It has to do with our emotions and our dreams, and some people might be more connected in with and have invested more time and attention to kind of growing and maturing themselves emotionally, so they're going to be more mature emotionally. Other people didn't think it was maybe that important, didn't invest as much time in themselves to grow themselves emotionally, so we might kind of think some people like that are kind of immature. And then Pisces has to do with our dreams and wishes, and some people have illusions about what it means to be in a relationship, and everybody has their idea of what's just and fair, and some people you could think live in fantasy land. Some people could think you live in fantasy land, and kind of what we find emotionally fulfilling. So I view this card as the overarching reason for the reading. It's the Queen of Pentacles, which I view as Taurus energy, which has to do with our philosophy of life. And at the heart of the reading is the Empress energy, which is Libra and Taurus, kind of in our philosophy of life, what we think is just and fair, and what we kind of emotionally want to give birth to in our life, kind of what we want to invest in emotionally. And, at the end of the story, we have the Ten of Pentacles, our idea of maybe the dream life and the components that we want as part of our life. You can look at each one of the pentacles. This is one, that's one, or it's 10. But what makes it up? There's some people in the world, male or female, the feminine figures can just talk about how we think and feel. The masculine energies can talk about how people are presenting in themselves in the world and the kind of the action that they're taking. Some people are more motivated and inspired by the world, and that's what they want to in the Knight of Cups, which is Pisces energy. That's kind of their truth. That's how they view life. It's more about the world. And that could be, it's more about ego, image, status, money, materialism, or indulging in things that they like to indulge in, because that is like living the life. Or if it is more about money and status and image, they could be inspired to put work and effort into looking really victorious and successful, hoping that then there's other people that, even if they're not just and fair or stable or grounded or really emotionally mature, that in the Seven of Swords, that people will be so tempted by those things of the world. And some of the things that people put a lot of work and effort into having, is their looks or their physique or what they wear or what they drive or who they hang out with. All this stuff about just kind of trying to create an image of having a certain status or image so that other people will be in a relationship with them. They could want to get in a relationship with someone who has money. They want to invest in other people who have money or that status or that image. Whatever would make them look like they have justice in the world. Some high vibe people, like everybody in the world, we would all like stability and security in the world, and we'd like to be in community, in relationship, have a job. But the high vibe people aren't willing to sacrifice love. They're giving birth to love is a driving factor in their life, wanting to invest in people and be in jobs and relationships with people because it's a balance. That's like high vibe Libra. I want a balance in my life. Do I want some of these things in the world just like everybody else? Yeah. I'm just not willing to sacrifice and make that more the end all be all in my life. I also want the Six of Cups here can talk about deep, meaningful relationships. And the six plus the one makes a seven. And the seven is kind of the tipping point. We're either at a core foundational level emotionally, our truth is we're either a little more motivated and inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness and kind of growing and healing and maturing ourselves, or we're kind of more a little bit about us or the world or our ego, indulging our more immature nature, our self-protective defensive nature. The Page of Wands can be, are we like a good mother, father, coach voice to ourselves? And in relationships, are we loving and nurturing to that relationship? When we get in a relationship, just like you can have children, you give birth to a new energy, an energy that didn't exist. Two people coming together who weren't in a relationship before, that's like kind of giving birth to a child. It's didn't exist before, right? And then are we loving and nurturing and just and fair and inspired to be that way, to nurture that to its full potential is what the Ten of Pentacles can talk about. You know, the Ace of Pentacles can be the seed. We got together, we're moving forward, we're getting to know each other, and then we nurture that and we emotionally invest in that. And then in high vibe Seven of Swords, we listen to our intuition, we look at life from a higher perspective, we keep things in perspective, we keep focused on the bigger picture. That's high vibe Aquarius energy. And everybody puts in work and effort to nurture this creation into its fullest potential. But that requires everybody is motivated and inspired to put in the work and effort. And in high vibe, the pentacle means you've been illuminated to the truth that love is the answer. And in the King of Swords, that means you have to be just and fair. And it's supposed to be about love. If it's a romantic relationship, if it's not a romantic relationship and it's like a workplace environment, you're supposed to be just and fair and treat other people the way you like to be treated. You know, everybody in the workplace are like hopefully loving and encouraging people to each other to try to help everybody work to their best capability and grow to their full potential. And everybody is being just and fair. You know, shadowy energy can be like, well, I want to create the illusion that I'm that type of person, but then in a shadowy Seven of Swords, maybe because of these other reasons of how it benefits me, how it's good for my ego and image, looks like I've gotten justice in the world. The Chariot, it looks like I'm moving forward victoriously and successfully. And then it's like shadowy Pisces that anyone can harness. It's like I create this illusion I'm more motivated and inspired to put in work and effort, be just and fair, be loving and encouraging and supportive, but some people do it more just for how it benefits them. And it's not, it looks like love, it quacks like love, but it's not really love. And so, let's look at this card. The Fool. Okay, and the Fool is like the Emperor energy, it's Aries energy, but it's also has some Aquarius and some Pisces energy in it, which both Pisces and Aquarius can have to do with our dreams. Aries energy is about the self. Am I willing to quit indulging my more immature, foolish nature? Some people have. And the people who are in friend groups, work groups, communities, those people are, the Page of Wands can be being authentic. You know, I'm willing to get to know people. The Six of Cups can talk about wanting to get to know people and have like an emotionally balanced relationship, uh, maintaining balance within yourself, acting with character and integrity, treating other people the way you like to be treated. And for the people, and the chariot can be about being emotionally balanced, taking responsibility within yourself, investing in that philosophy of life. I know the truth. I need to take responsibility for myself and my foundation to maintain balance within myself. And I have learned that love is the way to do that. So, just like I offer truth and love and justice and fairness to others, I emotionally also invest in that within myself. And I offer truth and love and encouragement to myself so I don't indulge my more immature nature that I do want these things of the world and I want these relationships, but love is the most important ingredient. And to authentically be inspired by love. In High, in High Vibe, the Empress talks about love. In Shadow, is kind of more about the things of the world, wanting to be indulged, like a person wanting to be indulged in it, or money and materialism and status and image. And also knowing I need to be just and fair, take action in love. High Vibe, King of Swords, the truth. It should be love. It's a romantic relationship. And again, I need to maintain balance within myself because Libra of the King of Swords is represented by the scales of justice. I have this dualistic nature out of love for myself and this dream that I have. I need to, even though my more immature nature, I might want Aries energy is about the self. There's a part of me that could want to kind of indulge myself and be more about myself. But if I've already done that before, and, we've all lived life, that I know I'm just kind of deceiving myself. If I act in a more immature, prideful, egotistical, deceptive, manipulative, bossy, controlling, superficial, shallow way, and just create an illusion it's love, other people are going to listen to their intuition about me and they're going to move away from me. And some people that are doing that right now, and that is how they operate in the world, could probably have some people in their life, people who harness some high vibe Aquarius energy that are moving away from them. Because those people have already been in relationships with people who are create the illusion they're more mature, stable, grounded, loving than they really are. And it's really just more about them or how they benefit, but it's not really love. And then there'll be other people who are willing to stay in a relationship with them because maybe they haven't learned those lessons yet. And the fool can talk about kind of going on this journey. Who's learned the lessons, who hasn't. Shadowy people are being kind of deceptive and manipulative. If they know they harness shadowy Aquarius energy within themselves, regardless of what zodiac sign they are, and in their Pisces nature, and their Virgo nature, and their Aries, and their Libra, and their Cancer, and their Taurus, and their Scorpio, they know that they really don't want to do love. You can get hurt doing love. I don't really want to emotionally invest authentically in people. I'll invest in them to the degree, that it looks like love. That's shadowy Scorpio. But it's kind of using all of their gifts. We're not an animal and we're not a computer. Of course, some people act like that. But they were given the gifts of their emotional, creative, inspired nature. They've been given in the suit of the cups and the swords and the pentacles and the wands. They have their emotional nature, they have their thought, their intellect. In the worldly nature, they have their own looks or assets or whatever. And in their fiery nature, they have their creative, inspired, passionate nature. You can be like a scam artist and you use all those things in a more shadowy, manipulative, deceptive way. And that means somebody harnesses shadowy Pisces energy. I'm going to use all my gifts in a shadowy way. I'm going to create this illusion. I know how to act like this and talk like this and dress like this and conduct myself like this so that people view me a certain way. What we don't have on the table yet would be Leo energy, but the Page of Wands represents all three of the fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. But I suppose the Empress could talk about that too. You know, you're either inspired in your fire sign energy of yourself and your emotional nature to really actually be inspired by love and knowing it should be just and fair, and people should, in high vibe Taurus, act with character and integrity and be truthful and loving and treat other people the way you like to be treated. That's also kind of high vibe Leo, being authentic. Shadowy Leo, operating more from our egoic nature, can be our more self-protective, defensive nature, and a lot of other things: immaturity, pride, ego, defensiveness, immaturity. You know, the list goes on. But shadowy, it can be, I think I can operate more investing in my more worldly egoic nature. I think I can use these gifts I've been given, and I think I can use them in a manipulative way to get what I want. I don't think I really have to more invest in them, because some people are more invested in just being more about themselves, you know? And and if they're charming or attractive or look victorious or successful some way in the world, look like they have justice, that other people would look at them and either they find them attractive or they're victorious and successful, or they come across as loving people, or they seem very just or fair or balanced. Yeah, there's going to be people who are looking for people in the world to be in friendship and relationship with. And some people, especially people who don't know them already, the other people have already listened to their intuition, some of them have moved on. But it's going to make people take a second look at them, right? Same way as people who really do harness these energies in a high vibe way. Some people that could have been moving forward in life, and some of these people come along, some other people are going to be like, whoa, wait a minute. You know, even some people who could have been kind of more caught up in people because of how they look or how much money they got or status or image or social clout. They even might do a double check. It's like, wow. And it might make them kind of wonder, why don't I take a leap of faith and love? Why am, and I do think for the first 30 to 40 years of our life, we're pretty caught up in the world. And we're pretty sure if we make our life about these things or invest in these things or indulge in these things, from a more worldly viewpoint. And I think just because we grow up in the world, it's really hard. And plus, we got these lessons to learn that even if you're a loving person, we're going to go on a lot of journeys in our life to learn a lot of lessons. And at times we were more about ourselves and it was all about us and indulging and looking like we're living the dream, and or being focused on our status or image or looks or money or wealth or whatever. Some people have kind of done that enough and gotten to these different degrees. We come in contact with all these different people to help us kind of get clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. And as we learn these lessons and go through these life experiences, hopefully we learn to stand up for ourselves and love ourselves and get more balanced within ourselves, and hopefully emotionally grow up and get more emotionally balanced within ourselves. And hopefully we start to think about investing in looking at life from a higher perspective. I can make my life all about me. I can get in relationships where people make it all more about me. I get a job where it's more about me. If you want to be more about yourself, you can do that. But when you're doing that, you're kind of not growing and maturing yourself because, like, say, everybody indulges you, it doesn't challenge you to grow, maybe to a degree. Um, but some people have learned to do that and they're not as caught up in like getting in a relationship to be in a relationship or have a job just to have a job or stay in a job more for the status, ego, image. They want to be in a job and be in friendships and relationships with people who are being authentic and loving and encouraging and just and fair. And of course, it is about balance. That's the Empress and the King of Swords and the Chariot. You know, it's all this about balance. The water signs offset the earth signs. The fire signs offset the air signs. And the Emperor and the Empress in high vibe are about people who have learned all these lessons. I lived my life and I let my heart run my life, and then I let my mind run my life, and my fear or protectiveness or made my life more about the world or more my immature nature, my lust or my greed. And you go on those journeys, and some people are done kind of going on those journeys. They let their, so the Emperor and the Empress in high vibe would be emotionally, I've learned these lessons in the four suits of the deck, and I've taken action, being more driven by one, two, or three, the heart, the mind, the 3D world, the creative passion nature. And having gone on all these journeys and learned all these lessons in life, kind of realizing that all four of them are equally important. And we can know some people who they maybe don't invest very much in their. Scorpio can be about getting to know yourself emotionally so you're more emotionally balanced within yourself. That I can function in the world as a human being and do these things, but I also can be connected with my emotions and my intuition and, you know, and the Page of Wands can be being curious within ourselves, and Scorpio can be about exploring the mysteries of life. And we're emotionally complex human beings. And, you know, do we even know ourselves? Have we, and some people are like, oh my God, no, that's too confusing. Oh my goodness, I went on some journeys and I got in some relationships and some friendships, and those people wanted me to invest in having more hope and faith and belief and love. But then when I connected more in with my emotions, like, oh my gosh, you know, it can be like going on the roller coaster of life versus the merry-go-round of life. But some people kind of put in work and effort kind of throughout their life, you know, to deal with the fact that they're this complex human being and this emotionally complex human being. And, you know, we could let our emotions kind of run our life. We could let our mind run our life. We could let our lust and our greed run our life. And we're meant to learn to master those. And in high vibe, the Emperor and the Empress is they had to go on those lessons just like everybody else, but they got out of their ego and were willing to learn lessons in life and invest time, energy, and effort to work through this confusion that we can have within ourselves. You know, I want these things, but I want those things. And we have this dualistic free will, and when we, you know, if we choose this, we can't choose that. And, you know, there's a price to be paid with any decision that we make. And people have to think about kind of what is my truth, maybe what makes me feel more balanced within myself. And the truth is that some people, I am more about myself. Some people like to also be in more codependent relationships. If I make my life about the world and ego, I want someone else who's like codependent on the world to define their worth and value. And high vibe Virgo, though, that would be shadowy Virgo. High vibe Virgo is knowing your worth and value. I'm more than what I wear, what I own, what I drive. The most important thing I have to offer people is truth and love. But for people who really don't want to do love to begin with, what they have to offer the world is more of these things of the world. Which part of them could be like, I can have sex with you, but, otherwise it might be look, status, image, power, social clout. And they could think that's the most important thing they have to offer people. And of course, if that's what they have to offer people, they want people to probably feel that way too. And if they have those things, then they want people to be willing to stay in a relationship with them for those things. And some people will. Some people are right now investing in that. And I think we've all went through more codependent stages in our life. We've all been children and we grow up and we have moms and dads or friends and family. And we're used to having people provide that for us, but some people haven't learned to provide that to themselves. Be loving and nurturing and compassionate to themselves. And so it's always kind of looking to other people to play that role. So they're always looking to go invest in people who might seem like loving, nurturing, giving people, but that can be like a child looking for someone to play the role of their mom or their dad in their life. But the problem is sometimes when people have that attitude, they also want to be indulged like a child would, you know? You're more mature and stable or grounded or loving and nurturing. I'm not, but because you love me, you should want to stay in a relationship with me and move forward with me because you love me, even if I'm being deceptive or manipulative or bossy or controlling or live more from my mind than my heart, or I'm more about me, or I'm in it more for the status or the ego or the image and how it benefits me. And for some of the people who like more codependent relationships, they're codependent and they want other people to be codependent. Like, we're both codependent on the world, let's make our life about the world. Or, I have people in my life I'm codependent on. You be codependent on me and then equally be codependent on those people because I'm codependent on them. The problem is when the people who definitely are looking for someone who's more codependent on them, the problem with that is people can be hopeful and believing in loving people, and they could be hoping they're more codependent, and they could seem like they're more codependent, and maybe some people are more abundant. That's what they could bring to the table. Some people are very loving and nurturing and giving. They could view them as kind of immature in a way because they haven't figured out this game of life. And this game of life is all about these things. And shadowy energy can be, I'm going to try to use your loving nature against you to keep you in this job or this relationship. Because in our worldly nature, we are all tempted by those things of the world. And if we get in a job, a friendship, or relationship, we have a hard time leaving it because we really like it to work. And high vibe people put a lot of work and effort to make things just and fair and balanced and move things forward. And sometimes that's what shadowy people are counting on. I'll get you to get in a relationship with me, and then when we get the ball rolling, you just keep moving the ball rolling, and then I'm going to be kind of more indulging myself in it, kind of being more about myself. But I got in a relationship with someone who I think will put a lot of work and effort to make this keep moving forward. And that can work for a really long time until the people that are keep putting in the work and effort to move it forward are kind of like, are you coming? And the difference between the King of Swords holding one sword, and the Seven of Swords is the Six of Swords, which is also Aquarius energy, but it's like trying to move a dream forward. In order to really bring the dream into reality, both people have to be operating from the same truth. And eventually someone could kind of realize that, again, they could be much more invested in it, putting a lot more work and effort into moving it forward. And that's when they could feel like someone is just kind of, this is all solitary. One wand, the Empress is holding like one wand, King of Swords, one sword, the Queen of Pentacles, one pentacle. And the other people, maybe 6 cups of love, the Knight of Cups of love, and tipped in favor in the sevens, trying to bring a dream into reality, which also the difference between the 1 pentacle and the 10 of pentacles is the 9 of pentacles. And the 9 of pentacles can be about becoming independent from an old way of living life, or more independent from the world, more independent of being about you, becoming more independent of people you might be codependent on, to bring this dream into reality. And then we put in work and effort into that phase of the relationship, and then we go have a new beginning. It's just like progression in a relationship. And right now, some people could be in a relationship where people got it going, and then the people who more put work and effort to make things move forward in that way, initially the other person could have, invested 1 cup to move forward. Yeah, it's like a lot less investment, right? and so that though can get a relationship to the next stage of a relationship, but then how do we go from there? There's a maximum of 10 in every suit. So, just like we were 15, 18, 21, 25, we go through these phases in a relationship or a workplace, and then we complete a phase, and then it's time to become independent of that phase, and we kind of go to the next phase of it. And some people are trying to maybe become independent of something to move something forward. And some of the people in their life are moving forward with them. They're equally putting in the work and effort and kind of motivated and inspired. And then there's some people that could be in it, again, workplace, family dynamic, or whatever, where it's like, are you people coming? Like, we're going through that door. We're going to go take it out there. So this card then is kind of reminding me of the Garden and the Gate card. We go through these phases of life, and it's like staying in our comfort zone. But when things are new, it's a new kind of environment. We kind of maybe protect it from outside forces to work on creating this abundance in this environment. And then it's to believe that we can take it outside that environment and take that abundance out there. Like, it comes with us because it exists kind of within us. But some people can be really afraid of stepping out of their comfort zone. Some people did decide to move forward in something, and they could have had this new beginning, whether it's with a workplace, a friendship, or relationship. If everything seems to be going, like people are being just and fair and authentic and putting in work and effort, and people are getting along well, then everybody might decide to, keep investing in it. And as they move forward, the Seven of Swords can be, where you keep listening to your intuition, because of the fact that we have no idea. There's no guarantees in life. That's part of the roller coaster of life. That people can be driving down the road of life and then they kind of start to drift off into the ditch one way or the other, right? And so it's always, and that would be things that people have to learn in life because, when you're more, how, the fact is, you have to hold each other accountable. And that can be annoying for people who don't need other people to hold them accountable because you're not trying to cheat the system, right? But there can always be some people who harness a little more shadowy Aquarius energy within themselves. They don't have to be an Aquarius sun sign. That are kind of like, it's kind of always wondering how they can kind of cheat the justice system. And I don't think more high vibe. Well, I mean, I suppose in any kind of friendship or relationship, you kind of could know what each other's strong suits are or not so strong suits, or I don't like doing that, and I know you don't mind doing that, and I know these things you don't really like to do, and I don't mind doing it. It would be one thing if it's kind of expressed to each other, you know, that but if people want to try to see what they can get out of, is what I'm saying. How much can I get out of, and this will just keep moving forward the way it is? Like, you won't want to see the truth. How much can I be more immature, more bossy, more entitled, more about me, more emotionally detached, more not invested, more kind of superficial and shallow? I don't think people who are motivated and inspired to be in a relationship will do that. But um, it's to be aware that, that probably is a pretty good high vibe relationship where everybody is equally, and probably because, well, they're equally motivated, um, but they've also had enough life experience with other people who do try to cheat the system and uh, get away with not being as invested in and trying to make someone else carry more of the load, right? Like one, 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 and then 10 is like, how is this fair? But we can all have our ideas of what we think is just and fair in a relationship. But anyway, some Pisces probably have some pretty high vibe friendships or relationships, or they're very high vibe within themselves. And partly it could be because they have went through some experiences like this with some people that did try to cheat the system, were more immature or more had illusions about what it meant to be in a relationship. And they decided, if I want my dreams to come into reality, I've got to walk the talk. That's like high vibe Taurus. And I need to learn to love myself and get balance within myself, get out of my own more codependent energy, and accept the truth that not everybody's motivated and inspired by love. And some people are definitely just more about themselves. And some people wear a very good false mask. So I definitely need to get connected in with myself emotionally. Because when we're balanced within ourselves and we're not like up in our head or in our fear or in our insecurity or pain and our heartbreak, we're kind of more purposely maintaining balance within ourselves, not to let ourselves get out of balance. Because there's a lot of people who would rush on in if they thought somebody was getting a little out of balance. Can I tempt you in your lust or your greed or your pride or your ego or your fear or your insecurity? Let's get married. You know? Um, that now they're really putting in the work and effort to maintain balance within themselves, and then in high vibe Pisces, listen to their intuition. And probably from love, though, but if people, you know, speaking your truth, if you think something's going on, how people can not say something like, well, I mean, it's one thing to extend people maybe grace in the moment, but the next day, what was that? You were kind of acting like this, and seem like you're kind of being kind of cold and detached or kind of bossy or acting like people should indulge you for some reason or being immature. What's going on? And call it out. Because wouldn't you rather have, if those people are like, shit, I didn't think this person was going to catch me on every damn thing I do and try to get away with. Hell, if that's too much, go. And I'd rather move on today than 7 years down the road. And that's the thing. It's better to find out as you go, wait a minute, what's going on? Are you coming or not? And if you're not, yeah, let's deal with the truth right now and hash it out. And if this isn't your truth, then go do what you want to go do. But if you do, I am moving on. I'm not going to tolerate fools, right? You want to be immature, you want to be more about yourself, you think you shouldn't equally maybe have to put in work and effort to make this work and contribute emotionally and in thought and word and action or whatever, then go. And that would be people who feel confident enough within themselves that, and high vibe energy is, I have more to work with than just the things of the world. Because in real high vibe energy, it's that I have been illuminated to the truth. And it would be that this world of duality, that there's just high vibe energy. You focus and stay and believing there's life force energy that wants to work with people who are investing in their unique talent, skills, and interests, maintaining balance within themselves, acting in truth and love, that the divine's going to work with you to try to manifest what you want to bring into reality, is what I think. And sometimes we get more mismatched relationships and they think the only thing to work with is world and they don't even listen to their own intuition. But our intuition was given to us as a gift, just like bats have sonar. And some people, even when their intuition is telling them, you shouldn't invest in whatever it could be, because as we're moving forward in life, there's a lot of things in the world that we could invest in. Other people could look at it and get to know it, whatever it is, and the other people are willing to listen to their intuition when their intuition tells them, I don't know, I think somebody's kind of trying to tempt us more, maybe to get caught up in an illusion or tempting us in our more worldly nature. I'm kind of thinking maybe it's not balanced and maybe I better take some time to, and the Six of Swords is about moving forward, to take some time to retreat and take this time to get balanced in my truth, kind of in a way, in the Page of Wands and the Ace of Swords and the Pentacle and love. What's my truth? And so, the Empress in general, even though it's Libra and Taurus energy, but high vibe Libra and high vibe Taurus, high vibe energy is about love. So it's kind of like here are all the four elements represented, and that it has to be just and fair and balanced. And high vibe Ten of Pentacles can be does represent balance too, where it's a mix of both. It has some of the things of the world that we want, but it equally has these things that we want from an emotional nature, that people are being like authentic and vulnerable, but emotionally mature and loving and truthful and just and fair and willing, grounded and stable and willing to emotionally invest in it, acting with character and integrity. For the people that got that going on, they're just listening to their intuition with the people in their life that, we all have to take responsibility for this or it's not going to work. And if my intuition tells me someone's slacking and hiding, they want to be indulged, I will probably speak my truth in love, but, this might come to a little bit of a halt till we clarify. Do you want to be independent of this to go invest in something else? Or are you going to become independent of whatever is the issue to align with this. What is your truth? Some people could be moving towards someone who already communicated with them, and the wands, the wand, the cup, the sword, the pentacle, can all be about having a new beginning and having closed out an old cycle. And as some people are moving forward in that energy, there can be other people who want to be part of that and come with. And, you could be doing that. Other people could be doing that. You could be meeting each other. And you could be meeting other people. And it's to listen, to maintain emotional balance within yourself. Treat people the way you like to be treated, but listen to your intuition. I don't want to repeat an old pattern. The Knight of Cups and Pisces energy is moving forward. I have become already independent of an old pattern. And that old pattern could have been being more inspired by the world and victory and success. But again, I do want those things, but it has to be balanced equally with being not more about that. It has to be more about truth and love and justice and fairness. And for some of the people, as you keep maintaining balance, well, and you get to know people, you're trying to find out if people are just coming to, like, want to be the next immature person, kind of to indulge, or shadowy person, to indulge in a relationship with you. And just like you're doing that, other people who went through these life experiences are doing that in regards to you and other people. Everybody's willing to kind of get to know each other and move forward and see how things go and listen to their intuition. And the Page of Wands can be small gestures, communications to get to know people. And then as time goes by, and we maybe get to know each other more, we could be more emotionally invested in each other. But before, have to make sure that everybody is kind of on the same page and, kind of have the same truth and work through these different things of what we think is just and fair. Trying to figure out what more drives and motivates people, and then you do the best you can listening to your intuition and kind of go on an adventure. And some people are already on that adventure with people, and some of you could have got new jobs, new friendships, new relationships, or you're still doing this too with the people you hang out with or the friendship group or whatever. And as other people come along, you're kind of wondering, are you on the same page or not? Shadowy people would try to manipulate anybody. They don't really care. Do you have the status or the image or the money? I don't really care if you're immature. I don't care if you're full of yourself. Kind of like that's a shadowy Taurus relationship where if they have more of what people want in the world, then they think they should be indulged. Some of them could think, whether they're male or female, that they would be willing to indulge someone else. They might find it harder than they realize, and that's the problem when people are kind of shadowy. Is they're both kind of people who are more about the things of the world. That is the driving factor for getting in the relationship or codependency or something. But they can both kind of want it more about them and to kind of be the more indulged person because they haven't learned these lessons yet. So it's like, well, I want to be the more indulged person. No, I want to be the more indulged person. No, I want to be the more bossy person. No, I want to be the more bossy person. And then those relationships, they think it's just and fair for them to act that way, but they don't want to be in a relationship with someone like themselves. So I think shadowy people also like to try to get in relationships with loving people. And if more just, fair, balanced, loving people don't listen to their intuition, these people can seem, and why do they can seem a lot like you. They can seem stable, at whatever emotional maturity level you're at, right? And they can wear very good false masks. And the whole point they come in your life is because you're going to learn some valuable lessons from each other. And if they are more shadowy, you are going to learn some lessons that you needed to learn about more shadowy people. And out of love for yourself, you're going to not keep moving forward with them. And eventually, because you probably won't be able to take it. And you're going to go invest in your truth. You're going to communicate with other people in your life. I moved away from that job, that friendship, that relationship. I'm moving on. Who wants to come with? And, as you're moving forward, there might be some people who are moving forward with you. There might be some other people that it caused you a little more conflict because you kind of thought they were maybe more on the same page as you, but maybe they're not, and you weren't really seeing it. But you work through it. It's like it is what it is. I can only have my dream come into reality with people that are on this page, and I believe God's got a plan for my life. And apparently I can't come in with them. And if I communicated with someone, but they're staying here and they're not making an offer to invest in me, the reason why some people might not is because they know their truth. And their truth would be that I kind of only want to offer these things to the world. And I don't think you would settle for that. So even though they might be in relationships with people who could be like them, or they have people who are kind of more codependent on them, you can get in relationships with different people. They might be willing, again, well, I'll indulge someone, or maybe I already have people who will indulge me, so I'm not going to invest in you. And the Pentacles can be about bringing something into the 3D world and taking action to offer love. But some people are like, I think you're too balanced and stable, and I've learned these lessons in life that I don't think I can deceive and manipulate you. So that's why I'm not going to make you an offer. And some people who we thought were more just and fair and stable or whatever, that we thought they were more on the same page, it's kind of confusing, but it's like, well, some of those people, they're doing this work in a high vibe relationship of their own, and they're moving forward with that one, and they would be being deceptive to another high vibe relationship. If you think there's some people in your life that you like and are attracted to or whatever that are high vibe, some of them are already in a high vibe relationship, and then you could be kind of sad. It's like, well, I guess you're going to be a role model for me of what I'm going to kind of looking for, but God must have other plans, so I'm going to keep moving on. And God ultimately knows what I have as the idea of the dream life, and what the components are that is the right mix for you. And God knows what my dreams are and what the right mix is for me. And I'm sure as I keep moving forward, not investing in people I already know aren't on the same page, I will find people who are more on the same page. But equally, there could be people in your life that kind of aren't investing in you because they don't want to do it that way. And it's only if you were to kind of come back and like keep maybe pursuing them to some degree, or reaching out to them, that then it'd be like, well, I don't know. This person might be a little more codependent or a little more willing to indulge me than I initially thought. Well, okay. We'll see how this goes. And if I can deceive and manipulate you, then I guess we'll move forward in a relationship. So, high vibe people are speaking their truth in love, communicating with different people in their life, working together with them to get along with people, in truth and love, believing in themselves, moving forward. And it's kind of like, who's moving forward this way? And if my intuition tells me you're not, then yeah, I'm leaving you to do whatever you want to do, and I'm going to focus more of my attention on the people who do work with me that way, or to go find some new people in my life. What's coming up? What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Pisces energy that they might not see coming? A card not showing itself because of the Emperor again. And the Eight of Wands. Well, for one thing, you're inspired to become independent of an old pattern or way of living life, and you're investing in your truth, and you're maintaining balance and moving forward in yourself. So as you do that, you're making good decisions in your life. Why? Because you want to move forward differently. From kind of here we had the 1 wand, and then here we have the 8 wands. The difference is the 7 of wands. There had been something you had been doing, or a way of living life or something that you had been defending because you viewed it as victorious and successfully. But maybe you had to cut someone out of your life who, again, whenever we're in relationships, friend or family or anybody, you either are making kind of good decisions in your life, or you kind of decide you think you should be able to indulge yourself in some poor behavior. And that's a risk that some people took. And some people listened to their intuition about it. They could have communicated their truth. That I'm not repeating that pattern. I have already been there, done that. We're either moving forward like this, or you can go do that on your own. And with some of those people, you did move away from those people. And you probably no longer view it as something victorious or successful or worth defending. And so what you don't see coming is this card, the Knight of Cups, which might be that. For one, as you do that work within yourself, because again, the Emperor is Aries energy about the self. As you do that work within yourself, you also work through some illusions you had about life and relationships, because this whole experience, could have forced you to have to look at life from a higher perspective, and really get clear about what your truth was, and could have really required you to get balanced within yourself and stay balanced within yourself. Or you could have been tempted to repeat some poor past patterns, and you didn't want to do that. You wanted to move forward. So by doing that within yourself, the Eight of Wands can talk. Well, the Eight of Wands also is Sagittarius energy, which is about higher learning and education. And you were inspired to love yourself to get the justice you deserve. So you invested in reconciling yourself with these issues from the past, and loving yourself and believing in yourself enough to become independent of people who weren't interested in moving forward in that way. And you work through the mental confusion of it. And as you do that work within yourself, you get out of some of the illusions that you had about some people in your life. And with some of those people, you would not be interested in making an offer to them anymore. And you're harnessing your Pisces energy in a more high vibrational way. It's just kind of, again, in your more Pisces nature, you could have kind of been more influenced by the world, just your more worldly nature. You wanted to manifest these things in the world, and you thought that's how you're supposed to do life, and I thought, things would work out the way you wanted. And it's kind of realizing I have to invest in my truth and do all this work to maintain balance within myself, and stand up kind of for my own inner child, loving nature that wants justice and fairness, and move away from the people who don't do that, and no more illusions. It's investing emotionally, and high vibe Virgo is truth, love, self-awareness, self-insight, and some people lack some self-awareness and self-insight, and also don't really want to invest in truth and love and justice and fairness. So that's what you're investing in, and I think as you move forward in that way, there could be other people who, again, right now might not, for some of you that are single, aren't making you an offer right now. Um, some of those people aren't because that isn't their truth. As you're moving forward, some other people, they have their free will and they have the people they know and are being friends with or hanging out with. And some of those people might, everybody knows you could take action from a more like immature, prideful, fearful, codependent, whatever way of being, or just to try to feel better. And they see that you keep moving forward, not doing that. And they could know some other people who are doing that. And then it makes them wonder, why would I keep investing in this way within myself or other people are this way when I could move forward with someone who isn't trying to create an illusion, isn't being deceptive and manipulative, and really is who they say they are? And some of those people are going to be the people who you are going to either meet as you move forward or that are going to reach out to you. And it doesn't matter if it's someone from your past, your present, or your future. You're not moving forward with anyone in a more involved relationship. You're going to listen to your intuition. People cannot create an illusion. People can be friendly and nice, and you will be friendly and nice back. But you won't be getting in a more involved relationship with them if it seems to be, and your intuition tells you, no, I think it's more for some other reason. And also, the Eight of Wands can be a lot of communication. The Seven of Swords can be a lot of communication. There has to be a lot of getting to know each other because I've been in relationships with people where I thought I knew the truth of who they were. And it has to be all four elements kind of equally balanced and important. Are they connected in with their emotions, with being more stable and grounded and self-aware and self-insightful? Are they, I don't know, kind of seem to be clear in their thinking, logic, and reasoning? Or, do they have these weird ways of logic and reasoning? And I don't know. Are they just more immature or more inspired? What's coming up? You're moving forward, though, regardless of who comes with you or who doesn't. And you're moving forward swiftly because you're in really great energy. What's coming up for people who are into some more worldly, shadowy Pisces energy again, which can be got some growing up to do and maybe have some illusions about relationships. And, other people is just at that experience level in life where they got some lessons to learn that some other people have already learned. And some lessons that some other people are very far away from learning. We're all somewhere on the spectrum. And there's always people further ahead of the road than us. So what's coming up for the people who might harness a more worldly, shadowy Pisces energy? Okay, we had some cards flip here in the middle. We have the Hierophant and the Ace of Pentacles, and the reason is because of the Seven of Swords and the Ten of Swords. So the shadowy people are always kind of more tempted. This is this Seven of Swords again. In more by the world, the Hierophant is Taurus energy. The shadowy, more worldly focused still are just more when they have people have a certain status, image, money, social power, clout, whatever. That is really kind of more what drives and motivates them at this stage of their life. And that could even be a friend and family group that they're kind of codependent on. And they don't move forward. They don't complete the cycle. To complete a cycle, you have to be willing to see the truth. And so far, they don't want to see the truth of kind of things that manipulate them. Or they're always kind of deceptive and manipulative in a relationship, and they keep thinking other people won't believe in themselves. and that they can keep trying to offer people these things that they have to offer people that isn't really love. Again, it can look like love and quack like love, but it's more of a mental strategy that can work for quite a long time until it doesn't. And because the shadowy people they don't want to do love, not authentically, or they want to, indulge in it and then be able to be immature or bossy or controlling or whatever, right? Or deceptive or manipulative. And they have things within them that keep manipulating them. And even though things don't work out necessarily the way they want, they refuse to see the truth, where they might need to emotionally grow and mature themselves. And there's some things they should become independent of, either being more about themselves, more about ego and image or money and materialism, or people in their life that they're codependent on. And until they're willing to see that truth, there's always going to be more high vibrational people in their life that eventually see the truth that these people are manipulated by some things that don't manipulate them to that degree. Just like if people have friends or family that kind of manipulate them and control them and they're not more independent of them, well, they don't necessarily manipulate the people that those people are in relationships with. They might want to. And the person you could be in a friendship or relationship with wants you to let those things or those people manipulate you. But the other people are like, those things don't manipulate me like that. And as long as those things manipulate you, my dream can't come into reality here. Because you would need to be more independent of it. Even if you're more caught up in yourself, you're full of yourself, you're immature. If you don't become independent of that behavior or way of viewing life, this isn't going to work. It doesn't matter how just, fair, loving, encouraging, and supportive I am. Until you are inspired within yourself to do that work within yourself and stand up for yourself and get balance within yourself and emotionally grow and mature yourself. And for a long time, people didn't want to see the truth. And that's what happens, in relationships. And for how long people will stay not wanting to see the truth, could be different factors, Everybody's got to make those decisions on their own when the time is right for them. But more high vibrational people are going to leave their life. They might even try to make an offer to kind of have a victory with someone. And maybe some of those people are going to tell them no. And that might be surprising. So, and what they don't see is if they keep doing this, they're sabotaging themselves, but they could think, no, this is the way to do it. No, it has to be more about me. I need to control everything. That'll make me happy. Or no, it has to be about the money and the status and the image. That'll make me happy. And they don't realize that they're kind of investing in something that even if they make their life more about themselves and indulging themselves or their self-protective defensive nature, they had the potential to work through that, to become independent of it, to move forward in life, inspired to go live their more authentic life, being free of that, to grow and mature themselves like to their full potential, give birth to things that would really be emotionally fulfilling and just and fair and loving. But we have the free will to invest in getting the justice we deserve or not. And what some people think is just and fair that they think will make them happy, I think at some future date and time they're going to realize they deceived themselves. They were not seeing things clearly. And while they did that, some other people did the work to love and believe in themselves and didn't deceive themselves about the truth did grow up, did temper their ego, were willing to learn lessons, were willing to listen to their intuition. Because these people had probably had their intuition screaming at them, like, you shouldn't do this. This isn't a good idea. It's like, I don't give a damn. I'm going to do it. And then they'll probably get in relationships with other people that are happy. Not everybody. They could, deceive and manipulate other loving people, but eventually the other loving people will leave. And the people they end up surrounding themselves and aligning with are other people who are happy they think and live their life this way. Because that's how they think and live their life. And it could probably then get in a relationship with someone who in turn could be creating an illusion it's love, but it's a strategy. It is not going to be based on truth and love. It's going to be for how it benefits them. And, when we also align with our shadow nature, our shadow nature doesn't have our best interests. It's like, oh, you don't have to do that. Come indulge in this. You'll be happy. Make your life about this. You'll be like living the dream. Your shadow nature doesn't. It's like all these energies of the world want to live through us, but they, love, hate, fear, compassion, enthusiasm, all these different energies exist in the world, but they don't have life unless we embody them. It's just a thought or an idea floating around in the world till we decide to kind of channel it through us. And shadowy energy doesn't care if we're laying in the gutter, dying. It's going to lick its fingers and say, damn, that was great. Our more loving, hopeful, believing nature wants us to go to our full potential, but we have to make the free will choice to align with it. And same way with the different people in our life, the people who are being bossy or rude or unkind or whatever, they kind of really don't care if we're happy or not either. If they did, they wouldn't treat us like that. And the loving, encouraging people in our life are the ones who wish we would love ourselves enough to move forward and away from things that are harmful to us. And we all have some things that we could improve upon in our life that probably aren't the healthiest things. Don't necessarily have to be in bad relationships, but I know I have a good amount of weight I could go for losing that isn't good for my health. So, there's lots of different ways to look at the story, but high vibe people are making very good decisions. And for every person who's more in high vibe energy, there's equally probably in a world of duality where we have free will, where someone represents the opposite of that. So we can see people in the world who seem to be really doing a good job in their life. There's other people in the world who equally could look like, oh my gosh, they seem to be on the same trajectory as that person or like that person, but theirs is more of an illusion. They might have the same status or image or present themselves in similar ways, but the other people, the high vibe people, are focused on a higher truth and justice to guide them. The other people are actually operating from their ego and being deceptive and manipulative. And that's why when we go out in the world to meet people, we need to be balanced within ourselves, not be more tempted in our worldly egoic nature and listening to our intuition about who's who. And when we do, the shadowy people are going to have to go find someone else to go try to manipulate, because we've learned to stand up for ourselves and not let our more immature nature kind of tempt us to indulge in something our intuition is telling us isn't aligned with our truth, and let them go do that with someone else while we move forward in our life, living our authentic truth and enjoying our day. So there you go, Pisces. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.